I'm capable. They just thought that maybe I learned different from other people. So they created a program for me and other individuals that they saw had the same difficulty as myself, where instead of doing grade 11 physical science and grade 11 math and physical science in 1 year, they allowed us to do it in a year and a half. And when they made that adjustment for me, I actually ended up graduating with 90s and 80s in my government marks, because I just needed more time to focus on the material that I was learning. So it wasn't because I was stupid like I thought, it was just that I took more time to grasp certain information. So at that point in my life, I was good. I graduated high school with high marks, and then I get into college. And then I found myself in that same situation again, where I'm struggling in school because I did not have that helping hand. I did not have the help where I would have an extra long period of time to help me get to learn the material that I needed to learn. At the same time, I was diagnosed with the skin condition that you see that I have. It started with a small white spot, and then gradually it turned into what you see today. So this definitely took a toll on my mental health. I became depressed, became even as far as suicidal. So before I get into that, the point of me bringing up the school aspect is because since I was failing in school, it triggered stress. My parents, again, like I said, they're Caribbean, so they're very strict and they wanted things to be done a certain way. And I wasn't abiding to that. And they thought, they didn't understand, they don't believe in mental health issues. They don't believe in, that if you apply yourself, you should be able to get the work done. They didn't understand that some people just need a little bit more catering to. And I was that type of person. I was that type of student. So the added pressure of my parents, putting these expectations on me, and then me having those same expectations on myself, really caused a lot of stress. And they said a trigger for vitiligo, which is the skin condition that I have, a trigger for it is stress. Me and my grandfather are the only ones in our family that have it. And it wasn't, he probably had it for probably my whole entire life that I've known him. And the thing is, he told us that what he had was due to a chemical reaction that had happened at work. So this whole time I'm going around thinking that the missing pigment is a chemical reaction that happened, when in fact it was vitiligo. So he was the only person, along with Michael Jackson. You guys all know Michael Jackson, right? So he actually has, or allegedly has, vitiligo himself. And my other friend of lighter complexion, she has it too, but because she's lighter, it's not as visible. So when I realized what was happening to my skin, I thought, oh my gosh, people are gonna judge me. People are gonna, think I'm ugly. And that's exactly what had happened. I could not leave my house without being judged. People like to give their unasked opinion and voice their concerns without anybody asking them. So to give you a couple examples, I would be minding my business, shopping. I would never forget, I was in pharmacy, shopping for deodorant. And this guy came up to me and he's like, hey, do you know there's a cure in Cuba for the skin condition that you have? And I'm like, oh, I heard about it, but I'm okay. I'm okay with the way that I look. And he told me that, well, I should go to Cuba because I shouldn't be walking around the way that I look. There was another time where I had met another person that has vitiligo. We decided to meet up. So we're at Tim Hortons, minding our business, drinking a coffee, when this guy sitting next to us looks at us and says, hey, do you know why you look like that? Because you guys are cursed. You guys don't deserve to be here. So these are just examples of things that people would say to me on a regular basis. And it got to the point where I just couldn't handle it anymore. I did not want to go throughout my entire life being criticized for something that was out of my control. And one day when this one person made a rude remark, it was enough for me to say, you know what, enough is enough. I don't want to be here anymore. And that's when I went home, I got the knife and I went to the bathroom and I said, this is it. I don't want to live anymore. Thankfully, I've always had a supportive family and supportive friends. And at the moment when I had the knife to my wrist was when I thought about my family and I thought the pain that I would put on them if I decided to do this. And that was the only thing that saved me and that has me in front of you guys today was the thought of the hurt I would bring on to people that actually love me. But that was also a realization for me. That's when I realized that I needed help. This was bigger than myself. And that's when, for the first time, I decided to speak out. I reached out to my older brother, my confidant, and I told him how I was feeling. And I told him I did not want to go through life like this anymore. And he said something to me that would forever stick with me. And that's that you have control over your life. I'm here putting my expectations onto other people. I'm looking for acceptance from others when I shouldn't be looking for it from anybody else but myself. And he went ahead and he introduced me to a lot of self-help books and self-love, self-accepting documentaries. So do you guys know The Secret? Have you ever heard of the documentary The Secret? Or have you heard of it before? Any of you guys? Right. So that became like my Bible. I would watch that documentary every day. And what it talks about is the law of attraction. What you think about is what you bring about. It talks about positive affirmations, speaking positivity into your life. Since then, I decided that I was going to get to know myself. I need to be reacquainted with Aiesha because clearly I got lost in all the noise and all the expectancy of other people, that I lost who I was as a person. So for a good 2 months, I kid you not, I was locked in my room and I asked myself the real hard questions that we don't normally like to ask, which is, what is it that I value? What do I want out of life? What makes me happy? What do I want to do? Because this whole entire time, I wasn't living for myself. I was doing what my parents wanted me to do. You know, I wasn't really doing, or I didn't feel like I had a purpose because I never took the time to know what it is that I valued or what I wanted out of this life. Once I became reacquainted with who Aiesha is and what I want to do, life started to flourish for me a bit. I started my own nonprofit organization, which I mentioned before. It's called Born to Rise. And basically what it is, it gives a platform for people to come up and share their stories of overcoming adversity. And the reason why that was so important for me is because I wanted people to know that whatever it is that they're going through in life, you are not alone. Okay, and there's always somebody that is going through something that's similar that can use your story to inspire them to get over or get through their situation, their current situation. And that's what brings me here today. And that's the reason why I'm sharing my story. And I'm hoping that from my situation, you can learn that life sometimes sucks, plain and simple. We're gonna go through challenges. There's no highs without lows. And it took me a long time to realize that, but I really noticed that there's so much beauty in adversity. Okay, there's so much that we can look forward to in life if we accept what we can't control. We have to let go of that. I was a very controlling person. I like to control every aspect of my life. But once I realized that there's nothing here that I can control but myself, is when things started to unfold for me. So I started my nonprofit and I became a model. It happened through Facebook, actually. Somebody reached out, an agency, and they're like, hey, we really like your look, come down to our agency, let's see if we can work together. And since then, I've been able to model for Ardennes, Dermablend Pro. I walked in Mexico Fashion Week, New York Fashion Week, Montreal Fashion Week. And I didn't think this was all possible because I was at that time 27. And I was like, oh, models, they're like 18, they're young, 14, 15. What am I going to do modeling at that age? Definitely thought that there was no career for me in that. But when I started to love myself and to not worry or care about what other people thought about me, and I became my own best friend, and I did the practices and the tools that I needed to do to continue to walk my path in confidence and in acceptance and fully loving myself, is when things started to just naturally flow for me. But like I said, when things are at a high, unfortunately, it comes down to a low at some point. And I've learned to accept that and to just ride the waves. So what I'm speaking to you guys about, as this happened probably within the last 5 years. And my career has really taken off since then. I have the opportunity to speak in many schools and different conferences throughout the United States and Canada. And as of recently, in October 2020, my dad was diagnosed with cancer 3 days before my birthday. And my dad was my everything. He was my best friend. I'm the only girl of 2 brothers. I have a younger one and an older one. And he just spoiled me rotten. Anything I needed, I would just go to my dad. And it was really hard on me to know that he was sick. The person that was strong, the person that was supposed to, protect me, my protector, was in the hospital bed, unable to, do the minimal things for himself. And for the past year, that really played on my conscience. And I did not know how to navigate this world without my dad. Then it got worse. October 1st, 2021, a day after my birthday, my dad passed away. And right now, I would be lying if I said that I'm all fine and dandy, because I'm not. I'm at a point in my life where I'm at my low. But because of what I've been through and I've been able to overcome it, I know that this is another challenge in my life that I'm going to have to overcome. As long as I'm breathing, I have the ability to overcome whatever life throws at me. And that's my message to you guys today. Whatever it is that you're going through, as long, I know sometimes it can seem like the end of the world. I thought that. I was like, how am I going to continue my life without my dad? I still ask myself that question. Honestly, I didn't even know that I was going to be able to come and stand in front of you guys. Just outside walking in, I was talking to my videographer and I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. My heart's heavy today. Like my heart, like just the thought of, not having my dad here. And I went away on a vacation to LA and I just got back yesterday. And knowing that this wouldn't work, I did somehow think that getting away from Montreal and everything that reminded me of my dad would be a good escape. I can escape all my problems. I'll go to LA where there's no attachment to my dad and I would have an amazing time. I won't think about him. And that was the exact opposite of what happened. I was at a comedy show and everybody's laughing and I'm laughing and crying. And I'm not crying because the comedian's actually that funny. I was crying because I was like, oh my God, my dad's really not here anymore. And it hits you. Has anyone lost somebody close? Does anybody know what I'm talking about? Like that grief that you get when it just hits you out of nowhere? That's what I'm going through now. And going through that and coming back home and realizing that actually your life is still the same. Your dad is still not here. So what do you do about that when you realize that there's nothing you can do to change your circumstances? You just put one foot in front of the other And I just go back to the same practices that I had been using throughout my life journey. And that is making up 3 lists. One is writing a list of all your accomplishments. Anything that you've ever done in your life that you're proud of, write it down. Make a list of them. Okay? 2, make a list of everything that you're grateful for. Have you guys ever heard of the practice of gratitude? The more that you're thankful for, the more that you give that energy to the things that you have to be thankful for, the more you'll receive of that. So every morning I wake up in the morning and I'm a believer in God, so I thank God for waking up this morning. Thank you for the sun that's out today. Thank you for this opportunity to share my story. I make a list of every single morning of 3 things that I'm grateful for. Then I say my affirmations. Okay, the practice of affirmations, you guys know what that is? So it's basically speaking into existence what you aspire to be. And that's what really helped me when I was dealing with my issues of my self-esteem and my self-confidence issues. I had to look at myself until I believed it and tell myself that I am pretty, I am beautiful, I am worthy. Okay? All of us here, we are here for a purpose. We are here for a reason. And it's okay that, sometimes you don't know what your purpose on earth is, and that's completely fine. I literally only discovered that through my darkest time. And that's the thing, people think that your purpose has to come from, when you complete school or, you get high achievements. But really, sometimes your purpose comes from your darkest times. And that's what happened to me. So when you guys are searching for, what is it that I'm doing in this life? What am I meant to do? Sometimes it's right in front of your nose. We're trying to look way too far, but go and reflect on what it is that you like. What are you truly passionate about? What brings you joy? What makes your eyes twinkle? And then connecting that, your passion, and turning it into something that you enjoy doing is really what your purpose is tying both of those together. Okay? You guys all being here, being a student here, I commend you guys because I didn't have the courage when I had the opportunity to continue my education. Once I dropped out of college, my parents told me, go finish your 436 math at Cartier, and after that you can go and study to be a pharmacist. I looked it up, I'm like, oh, look, they make a lot of money. Sure, I'll do it. I don't like chemistry, I don't like physics, I don't like math. I was just doing it again to appease my parents. Okay, so I ask you guys, so when that didn't work out, I tried secretarial studies. But the thing is, popularity was more important to me than my education. I wanted to be where all my friends were at, which was in college. I was a basketball player then. And, being on the basketball team was everything to me. So if I wasn't doing that, anything else, being secretarial school studies or anything was a no-no for me. But now, as I'm standing here, even till this day, I had that regret of not sticking it through and letting what I thought was worthy then get the best of me. Because had I had something then that was concrete that I could use and get a good job with, I probably would have saved myself so much time that I had wasted. Because once I dropped out, I didn't do anything. I was literally just at home living off my parents, working at Rockaberry's. You guys know what Rockaberry's is? They sell the best pies ever, best job ever. And that was basically my life. And that also kind of led into my depression because I was like, what am I doing with my life? I don't know what it is. So the fact that you guys are here and you guys have you guys are getting the core values that you need to continue to propel your life is something that I wish I had. So just for a second, can we just all give a round of applause to yourselves for doing that? So to end off, I just want to say that I don't know your story. I don't know what it is you're going through. I don't know your challenges. But one thing I do know is that we're all going through them and that we were born to rise. We were born to overcome our adversity. We weren't born to succumb to them. You know, there's a saying, I don't know if anyone knows anything about turtles. Does anyone know anything about turtles? No? Okay, I didn't think so. I just recently learned this myself. But the logo of Born to Rise is the middle of a turtle shell. And the reason for that is because when turtles, when they hatch on shore, their mom leaves them to fend for themselves. And they have to make it to the sea before getting eaten by the birds or snakes or whatever adversity that comes to them. And only 1% of the turtles survive. And the choice is yours. Will you be that 1% that overcomes your challenges, or will you succumb to whatever life throws at you? Thank you. If you have any questions, I'm up for it. I'm an open book, don't be shy.
I just want to give you your flowers. I have 5 daughters, and I'm just so happy that there's people that can come up and be inspiring, and like they're going to be able to see you. And I hope that you're doing much around here, so that way they can see you, because this is great.
Oh, thank you so much. Appreciate that. Thank you. What's your name?
Melissa.
Melissa. Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
Other questions, comments?
First of all, I want to thank you for being here, for giving beautiful speeches, inspiring speeches. We all know that you're all unique in a different way. So today was thank you so much for a nice speech and encourages that you never do so in our lives. Because we all have, as there is a beautiful saying that say, life is like a carousel, sometimes it's up and sometimes it's down. So we can, if we try hard, we can pass all those laws that we have. And you are a good example of it. And I want to personally thank you for being here for a nice speech that you gave. Nice.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. What's your name?
My name is Joshua.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
Anybody else? Or question?
Anybody from Lachute that would like to add anything?
Question over there, yeah.
Hello, my name's Paul.
Hi, Paul.
I'm wondering what got you thinking to become an inspirational speaker? You spoke to us about your platform to give other people a chance to share their stories. I'm wondering if there was anything specific in your life that got you thinking that you should talk to other people and share the way.
So it all started when my sole purpose for speaking in the first place was to bring awareness to vitiligo. At the time that I was diagnosed, there was no Winnie Harlow, the supermodel that we see today. She wasn't who she is today at all. And I just didn't want kids to go through the same sentiments that I went through, feeling alone, being bullied for skin. And it's just based off of ignorance, people just not knowing what vitiligo is. So I took it upon myself to go into schools and to educate students. So if they do come across somebody that looks like somebody that looks like me, then they can be like, hey, okay, that person, it's only vitiligo. I know what that is. So that's where it stemmed from. And then when I realized other things that I've been through and how much just my vitiligo story has helped other people, that's what I was like, okay, maybe I have something here. Maybe there is truth to my story, there's power to my story. So now that's what I work to do, is just turn my pain into power. And that's what got me here this morning, because I knew that my purpose was bigger than my pain. That if I stayed home, I would be doing a disservice, not only to myself, but to all of you guys. So that's how I got into it. Thank you. Other one?
Is there a question from Lachute?
No, Franz, anyone from your end? All good, she said.
Thank you, Aiesha. Very inspiring. Thanks for sharing your story. Like you said, we don't know everybody's stories here. There's a lot of stories in this room. I know that since I started here in adulthood, I've learned to appreciate the differences here. But yeah, so thanks for joining us today and sharing your story. And I hope you enjoyed the presentation this morning. To Anna for setting this up. And it's all everybody in this room, it's been a while since we all got together, right? COVID has been like a first year. So we'll thank our caretaker also for putting all the chairs together. So I guess I can go back to class. It's 11:30. I think a lot of students have their special class, and some have a little class, right? First day of